Hello and welcome to the Moses Lake Lead Community Initiative Update. My name is Debbie Doran Martinez with the Moses Lake Chamber of Commerce and a founding Moses Lake Lead board member. I will be your host today. I am joined today with Grant County Commissioner Rob Jones, Grant County Sheriff Deputy Ryan Herring, and Sand Dunes enthusiast and Sand Scorpion member Brandon Douglas. Prior to the pandemic, Moses Lake Lead did a community survey, and from that survey, we found 11 topics that were consistently mentioned. And as the group had planned to have a community summit to discuss those issues, the pandemic hit and our summit had to be postponed. And then our next attempt was postponed again due to the rising cases taking place now. But we wanted to bring an update to the public on these topics, as many things are happening and moving forward. So this video update series was created. I'm happy to kick off the first of several video updates today on the Moses Lake Sand Dunes, the big sandbox in our backyard that is approximately 3,000 acres in size. This public land is a big draw for locals as well as visitors, which makes it an important economic driver in our community. Our survey indicated that the public is wanting more infrastructure at the sand dunes. So while I'm not exactly sure what the respondents of the survey had in mind, we will jump in with some questions and responses from our panelists to start the conversation. And we welcome those of you watching to provide positive feedback in the comments. So let's talk about connectivity. Commissioner Jones, could you give us an update on the use of Washington ATVs on county roads? We know they are already approved within the city limits of Moses Lake, but where are we at with Grant County roads?
Hi, Debbie. So as of August 31st, last Tuesday, as this video is being videoed, we approved ATV use in the Cascade Valley area and all the roads that basically connect up to Valley Road. Still, there's a lot of support and people requesting additional locations, which we're slowly going to approve on a requested basis each year. In order to request your area, you must submit your application in February, and that will put you on the list that we try to get approved for the following summer, which just happened on the 31st of August. Right now, there's a big push to get Potato Hill open so that we can access the sand dunes from Moses Lake, which is already legal to UTV driving. The biggest holdup there that we've had is Potato Hill Road speed limit being too high for ATV, UTV use, which the speed limit must be under 35 miles per hour for UTVs to access roads. I've been working on this for the entire time I've been in office, so 9 months. And where we're at right now is the options we have are to route UTVs through the private neighborhoods of that Pelican Point area. And I don't really think that's a good option. The other option that we had was to use trail funding and put in a side trail that would run along Potato Hill Road all the way to the sand dunes. However, our right-of-way was only 60 feet. The only way we could have done the trail access was if we had 80 to 100 feet of right-of-way. We estimated that it was going to cost around $200,000 to add that trail. However, not having enough right-of-way, we are not able to do that either. The last option we have, if we want to do Potato Hill Road, is to lower that speed limit to 35 miles per hour. Obviously, people in that vicinity may not appreciate that. However, they may appreciate it more than driving through their neighborhoods. So the biggest thing that I would ask if people want that to happen is we're going to need a lot of support for or against that taking place. I believe it would impact local businesses and jobs very immediately as soon as it would be open. So I am personally in support of the idea. I can understand the worries of residents in those areas. But that's kind of where we're at. And we are looking at that. I have talked to the Grant County engineer quite a bit about accessing that Potato Hill Road and lowering that speed limit 35 miles per hour. Obviously, lowering speed limits is not what the county tries to do, but we're working on it. It needs a lot of support and a lot of people to contact requesting that to happen.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Jones. And just a reminder, you need to have your applications in by February requesting that your neighborhood be allowed Washington ATV use on roads 35 miles an hour or less.
Debbie,
yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but also just because there were a lot of people that requested for the backside sand dunes road to be open, that's also being looked at. However, Fish and Wildlife is putting a hold on that due to a rare frog. I'm sure Brandon can tell you the exact frog, but I believe it's the spotted leopard frog.
Spotted gecko leopard or something, spotted leopard.
So we're also working on that backside. We'd like to make it a full access it from both sides all the way through to where people camping in that campground on the other side can go all the way around and into town in a UTV. So I just thought that people might have that question, and we definitely are looking at that also, but that one has a little bit more hurdles as far as agencies involved.
Yes, good to know. And certainly, while that's great for that southwest end of town, we do need to get that Potato Hill one connected in order for people to access restaurants and stores in Moses Lake, because we will not be able to get ATVs allowed on I-90, which you'll have to go I-90 to get across from that location. So thanks for that update. Let's move on to activities and events. Brandon Douglas, what type of activities and events happen in the sand dunes, and how can people become involved?
So the Sand Scorpions have been ingrained in Grant County for over 30 years. What started off as a group of 3 families has blossomed into a group of over 1,000 families spread largely all over the Pacific Northwest and even up into Canada. We've been hosting a variety of off-road events over the last 30 years, with the last 10 years seeing the most growth in both our club base and event attendees. The events we host range from annual Christmas tree burns, Easter egg hunts, sand dune cleanup, sand drags, big air jumps, monster truck events, mud bogs, and much, much more. We typically have 20 plus events of all sizes annually, and they're always 100% for free. We give back to the local community through the Moses Lake Food Bank, Moses Lake AARP, Days of Camelot Animal Sanctuary, other members in need, and much, much more. We're easy. It's all for free. Come check us out. Come help us out. 4x4 recommended.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's talk about family friendly and safety. Deputy Herring, are the sand dunes a safe place for families to recreate? And what reminders should citizens using the sand dunes be given?
Yes, the Moses Lake sand dunes are a safe place for families to attend and come recreate. I think what has helped that is our strong stance on the alcohol out there. We were able to bring more of the families back to the area and kind of keep the party crowd away that was causing a lot of the issues around there. So with that, we've drawn in more of the families that they're coming. They're participating in these events that are held out there by the Sand Scorpions. They're also coming for the holiday weekends and enjoying it as a family as they once used to. But with that being said, the more people that are now coming to the dunes and recreating out there brings more trash, more garbage. So we just ask people that they would follow a good community standard of pack it in, pack it out. We do provide garbage dumpsters out there that we just ask that, sorry about that, that everybody would utilize those to put their garbage in. Don't stack your garbage around it. Please use that for the people recreating, not for the people in the community to go out there and have a free dump. We'd also ask that we have a county code right now for like pallets in the dunes, which people, if they bring them out there, they burn them, it leaves nails, which creates a safety hazard for not only for the vehicles, but for kids and families and stuff like that. So we just want to try to seek out possibility of having no glass containers of any kind brought out to the dunes. I think this would help a big immensely out there, because it will stop the glass shards from cutting tires. It will stop it from cutting feet. And with that being said, it will allow everybody to come to the Mose Lake Dunes as long as they follow the rules and the laws, which we're trying to enforce more now, because we want everybody to have that safe experience when they come visit the Mose Lake Dunes. And I want to also touch on the fact that I do agree with Commissioner Jones that we do need to open up the Potato Hill Road and the Sand Dunes Road that leads out to the west end. We do need to open that up for ATV use. And the speed limit does need to be reduced down. The lower speed limit will also create a lot safer for the people commuting with their vehicles, safer speeds, but allow people to access the city, and it brings revenue. It'll allow more people more opportunities and more chances at coming and staying in hotels and stuff and bringing their ATVs that don't have RVs or any of that sorts.
Yes, very good for our local economy. So let's talk about funding. Commissioner Jones, how are things funded to provide law enforcement? And if additional services are desired at the sand dunes, what are some options for funding those?
So starting off with how things are currently funded, they are funded by a grant that the Grant County Sheriff's Office is the recipient of. It's called the NOVA Education and Enforcement Grant and the NOVA Off-Road Vehicle Grant. The NOVA Off-Road Vehicle Grant is only a $29,000 grant. And as I kind of understand that, that is for purchase and maintenance of equipment for use in recreational area. The other grant, being the NOVA Education and Enforcement Grant, is a $200,000 grant. Now that grant goes towards the paying of 2 full-time employees, which they have listed as 7,600 hours, which if you know what 7,600 hours is times a deputy's pay, right there, that's more than the grant amount that is received for the sand dunes. It's also required that you do some in-field education, whether that's explaining things that maybe aren't being done correctly there. After that, then you have the trash is also paid by the sheriff's office. The bathrooms are pumped by the sheriff's office and cleaned. So a lot of the funding that's used out there is not adequate for that area. In order to have better services, running water, maybe some electricity, we're going to have support on figuring out a funding source of those utilities and services.
All right, so you talked about the current infrastructure and some possible additions. I'm going to open it up to any of the panelists to comment, and we'll seek comments from our viewers as well as to what additional infrastructure needs are desired out there at the Moses Lake Sand Dunes. So Brandon, do you want to start us off?
I think the biggest thing, the first thing we need is regularly cleaned outhouses. As Ryan has seen and as the Sand Scorpions have seen, they become quite the mess. Even with bringing in numerous porta potties on a holiday weekend, people don't seem to take care of them. There's no running water. There's no way to wash your hands. They are generally in a state of disarray. I know there's been attempts to find a company willing to pump and clean them. And I think the biggest holdup is the cleanup of them. I'm not sure what happens with the ORV tab money that comes in, what that pays for out in the ORV area, as well as for the Grant County Sheriff's Department.
So what additional infrastructure do you think is needed out there?
Running water for those outhouses will be a huge help, I think.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, anybody else on that topic?
I do have to agree with Brandon that the eco-friendly vault toilets that we have out there, we were able to get them approved based on the fact that they were eco-friendly. If we wanted to bring in water and stuff like that, it was gonna create additional measurements, whatever, that would change the whole eco-friendly stance on what they were taking. But having them cleaned and everything has been our biggest problem. We do have a company that we contract with right now, and they are attempting to get them cleaned out on a regular basis, weekly. But the amount of people visiting out there, and I would just have to say it's a lack of respect that people utilizing those. The majority of people do have good respect, but it's those few far in between people that come out there that they don't care. They'll vandalize it. They will not use the outhouse itself. They will use other areas inside there, and it just creates a havoc for everybody else. And the cleaning company, plus ourselves and the Sand Scorpions, and anybody else that goes out there and volunteers and tries to help clean, they know that it's a big issue, and it's a big turnoff to people that come out to that area.
Yes, for sure. Well, we appreciate everything that the Sheriff's Department does, the Sand Scorpions, all the many volunteers that are constantly cleaning up out there. And we just want to remind users of the sand dunes to do your part. Clean up after yourselves. Don't make a mess. So we all can enjoy that wonderful resource that we have. So while we might not be able to do all things, we can certainly look into the possibility of finding some funding for the most critical components if possible. The Moses Lake Sand Dunes are a draw for tourism and are an element of our local economy. The sand dunes contribute to our quality of life. Thank you, Commissioner Jones, Deputy Herring, and Mr. Douglas for joining me today to provide this update on the Moses Lake Sand Dunes. Stay tuned for more topics over the coming months presented by Moses Lake Lead.